Hey guys, in lesson 3, it is much smaller compared to the first 4 that we have done, reviews A and B in lesson 1 and 2. So this one only has 2 concepts. One is evaluation of expressions, and then the second concept is adding like terms. So much faster, so this is going to be a much smaller clip, so make sure that you guys pay attention because this is going to be over before you know. So first off, evaluation of expressions. What that means is when they give you a bunch of letters and then afterwards they say if A equals this and B equals this, and then they want you to plug those values into the expression and they want you to solve. So that is what we're about to do. Let's go ahead and do a couple of practice problems. Okay, so in our first example, we have x squared y minus y, and then they give us 2 values to put in place of x and y. And what I always do before I start trying to do any math is I'm going to rewrite this expression with no letters, and I'm going to put parentheses in their place. And I'm going to show you why in just a second. Okay, so now that I have my parentheses, I'm going to replace my letters with those numbers. Okay, let's say I didn't do parentheses. This is very different from this. This is saying negative 4 minus 4 plus 4. That's not what we're looking at here. And so that's why I always take my time first to do parentheses to make sure I am getting all of my negatives in the proper places. Okay, so once I get to this point, I can totally just put this in my calculator and solve. We're gonna go ahead and work it out on the board, but just know that yes, at this point you can put it in your calculator. Again, make sure that you take your time with your parentheses and your exponents to make sure that they are all in the right locations, because your calculator is very smart, and so you don't want to accidentally enter something wrong and then it counts the whole problem as wrong. So we're going to do negative 2 squared, which will be positive 4, times negative 4, and then we have minus negative 4, which means plus 4. And then here we got negative 16 plus 4, so this is going to be negative 12. And that's it. Okay, so doing another practice, we got a lot of A's and B's. Before I do anything though, I'm going to replace these letters with parentheses. Okay, and so I already had a parenthesis here, so I'm going to upgrade that to a bracket. Okay, so notice that didn't take a whole lot of time. And whenever it comes to deciding whether to get it right or to get it wrong and finish it faster, I would much rather take the extra 5 seconds to make sure that I get the problem right. Okay, so now we're replacing A and B with negative 2 and 4. And we're gonna solve. Okay, so negative 2, it's gonna hang tight just for a little bit. Now I'm gonna solve within the bracket, so I have negative 4 minus negative 2, that means plus 2. So this is gonna be negative 2 minus, and then negative 2 times 4 is negative 8. So negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4, and then minus negative 8 is plus 8, so 12. And we're done. Okay, so now on to the second and the last concept in this lesson is we're talking about adding like terms. And what you have to look for when adding like terms are 2 things. Do they have the same letters and the same exponents? If they don't have both of those, then they are not like terms and you cannot add them together. So 2 and then xy and then x squared, those are not like terms because one has an x and a y and the other one has an x squared. So 1, they don't have the same letters, and 2, they don't have the same exponents because 1 has just an x and the other one has x squared. So they're not the same thing, you can't add them. And it doesn't matter what order those letters are in, as long as they have them all there with the same exponent, it's still a like term. So let's do a practice just to prove that. Okay, so in this problem, we have 5 separate terms. And what we need to look for is, are any of them like terms? Because if they are, then we can add the coefficients, or the number, the normal number, that is at the beginning of those terms. So right off the bat, we see that we have negative 2x and we have plus 3x. They both have an x to the first power, and that's all that they have. So those are like terms, and I'm going to mark them just so you can help get a visual. Okay, and I'm gonna add those two together. Negative 2 plus 3 is just 1, right? So we have 1x, and I'm just gonna write x. Okay, and then I also see I only have 4. Like, it's the only thing, it's by itself, so plus 4, it's solo. We'll mark it like that, just so we can see it. But then I have these two. They both have an x, they both have a y, and both their x and their y are only to the first power, so they are the same. But notice, they're not in the same order. That's okay, because I can easily rearrange this to say negative 6xy. I can easily rearrange this to say 3yx. It doesn't matter what order the variables are in, as long as they have the proper letters with the proper exponents, it does not matter what the order is. So we can add these two together. Okay, so we have 3 minus 6, which will be negative 3. All right, so technically we're done. I usually like to have my highest degree go first. So negative 3xy plus x plus 4. And now we're done. Okay, so this next example is a little bit more because, we have numerator and denominator going on. We have negative exponents. So really, before we try to add any like terms here, we need to simplify this and get them all looking the same. I find the easiest way to look at that is to get all of your exponents positive. So let's do that. Okay, so we have simplified and they are all in the same format where all of our exponents are positive. I moved this a negative squared down to the numerator, which made it a positive square. And then same thing here with these two, I moved those down. This one stayed the same, and then this one, I just switched the order to make it alphabetical since all of these other ones were alphabetical. And so now looking at this, we're looking for question 1, do they have all the same letters? And question 2, do those letters all have the same exponents? So looking at these first two, they all have a squared, b, and c. And notice they are also in the same locations. A squared and c are in the denominator. And this third one has it as well. They all have b in the numerator, a square in the denominator, and c in the denominator. So all three of these are like terms, but this fourth one is not. It's a little different. A squared is in the numerator. Therefore, this is not a like term because the a squared, yes, it has the same letter and the same exponent, but it's not in the same location. If it was in the denominator, then it would be fine, but it's in the numerator, so it's not a like term. So we're only going to add the numbers in front of these first three. So we have 3 minus 4 plus 7. So that is going to be 3 minus 4, negative 1, plus 7, so that's going to be 6. And since I can't add this one as a like term, I'm just going to bring it down. And that's it. We are done. All right, so that's it for lesson 3. We talked about evaluating, so plugging in values and solving for expressions, and then also adding like terms. If you guys have any questions, catch me in class.